Abusia yamakwawa shunkoso eba POG Media. Ene yedemeko highway ni so highway ni de. Ensem bibi wo so ayen so ya jepene se. Yabame ya bedwafo no ahu de eko. Ene de eba na den na ekoso ewo highway ni so. Eye IMF Boss ena ede ensem bibi aba betu dwa. Ensem na odi betu dwa no. Ensem na ano edin ye ankasa waba abe strike hot fire on Nanado dankwa Akuffo Addo a enye asam keto akra na ose Nanado dankwa Akuffo Addo no ono ne reckless leadership eno ena amagana aba bedru sa empempen so we no enka IMF boss de enka nsem we de enka o ka che Nanado dankwa Akuffo Addo aye de bet ono akasa tena ase a ohye amamu boni a Nanado dankwa Akuffo Addo ebu ewo Ghana ha owia no asanso abase omoma ne sika do mfa mu ne ma no ose de akwasu na no efri Nanado dankwa Akuffo Addo na ono na edi sa adwuma no ende wanfa ne ho anche no kra samijemfi aba drop hot details about the IMF boss no or the etudwa against Nanado dankwa Akuffo Addo waka ensem bebre samijemfi enso drop hot expose efa ho a enye asam keto akra yabepe se yabemi abidwafo no bemi akona yakwa akutie ensem a ekoso ewo highway no so na ansa na ebekono owo ensem kan bi afahye ye comment section like la share ma afoforo so ensa etui ekebi la mema remfi se obe click on the notification bell so so de be ya any updates bi ade bebe bia no onso nsa ebetumi akabi aha aye POG Media medamase
that running mates or vice presidents are very important.
Can we finish with the COVID issue?
One point. John Mahama was vice president to Mills, and then he later became president. We have gone to the IMF. It shows clearly that there was a mismanagement of the economy. That's why we went there. Now that he has chosen Prof Jane, what significant thing is he expecting? And there are critics who say it's old wine in a new bottle. It's not going to serve really any purpose. What key performance should we expect with the economy? And I'm using this to compare to what Dr. Bawumia has done. How is Prof going to do?
Well, before I answer that, let me deal with the erroneous foundation of your question. Because President Mahama, yes, has been vice president and chairman of the economic management team, just like Bawumia.
Yes.
He never claimed that he was a mere mate. Under his leadership, we saw Ghana's best economic performance.
And that's why we went to IMF.
When John Mahama was chairman of the economic management team, inflation reduced. It came down to single digit and stayed there for 33 months.
But we still
that is a fact.
We still went to IMF.
We went to the IMF in 2015.
Who
he was not vice president then.
He was president, which makes it even worse.
Don't shift the goalposts.
No.
You spoke about John Mahama being vice president and chairman of the economic management
and became
team.
president.
Let's talk about his record. Let's talk about his record.
But why are you celebrating him as vice president? And,
I will celebrate him as president too,
okay.
but step by step.
Yes.
Right? So, as vice president, inflation was a single digit for 33 months, true or false. Our highest economic growth rates occurred under his tenure as vice president and chairman of the economic management team. Growth rate of 14.4% in 2011, when Ghana became the second fastest growing economy in the world. Whether it was interest rates, public debt, check all the economic matrices, it was in its best state ever under this Fourth Republic. So John Mahama's record as chairman of the economic management team is not one of a mere mate, because he took leadership, he played his auxiliary and complementary role well, and for every delegated responsibility he was given by the then president, he excelled.
So it was a better mate than a driver.
And as president, he did an excellent job. Yes, the economy experienced some difficulties as a result of doom, so which he didn't create, but which he fixed.
So it means we should not trust him. We should not trust him in the helm of affairs. We should trust him as number two.
Hold on, you can trust him, and we should trust him as a president.
The records you are showing,
despite the challenges he faced, and if you look at the impact of the challenges he faced, that the impact of that is far greater than the impact of the challenges Bawumia faced.
Are those challenges worse than COVID-19?
In terms of the
COVID-19 shut down the world.
It doesn't matter. It's not about.
It shut down the world, not Ghana.
I'm the interviewee. You are the interviewer. Okay. So slow. It's not about the scope of the problem.
Okay. It's what?
It is about the impact of the problem on the economy.
COVID had a bigger impact.
How many mortalities did we record?
We don't have to record.
We had partial lockdown for 3 weeks.
We recorded economic mortality.
Can you compare the impact of COVID on Ghana's economy, okay, which recorded only 3 weeks of partial lockdown, to economies that recorded 6 months of total lockdown? Can you compare? So hold on.
Okay.
Under President Mahama, we didn't have power for close to 4 months. Not by his doing. But as a result of what I've already explained to you, under investments in the power sector and an act of God, we disrupted the West African gas pipeline.
By his cluelessness.
You didn't have power. No. We didn't have the power. He took responsibility and fixed it.
He's supposed to take preemptive measures.
All the commodities that we export for forex in this country suffered a major hit in 2014, 2015, 2016. The price of cocoa came down significantly on the international market. Same for oil, same for gold. It affected government revenue and affected the strength of our cedi. It affected government's projections and so on. Yet in spite of that...
So you're saying that those things are grievous than COVID and Ukraine?
I am saying that the combined impact of DUSO and the fall in our export commodity prices on the international market, on the economy, was greater than the impact of COVID-19. Why? Because,
seriously,
yes, let me explain that to you step by step. What was the impact of COVID on our economy?
Everything. It affected everything.
In terms of financial value, what was it?
It affected everything.
Let me tell you, because you don't know.
I know.
So what was the financial? Okay, if you know, then you will agree with me. So when I tell you, you will agree. The Auditor General says that the cost of COVID-19 for us as a country was 12 billion cedis. You know that?
Continue.
12 billion cedis. How much did we get as a result of COVID to fix that problem? Over 30 billion cedis, $6 billion. We had 18 billion in excess of what we needed to fix COVID. We should be thanking COVID. Because of COVID, this government had $2 billion from the IMF, who gave us even $100 million to fix DUSO. Because of COVID, the World Bank gave us more than $1 billion. Because of COVID, the Bank of Ghana printed 10 billion cedis for this government in 2020 alone. In 2022, Bank of Ghana printed 45 billion. In 2016, when we were facing all those external shocks, the central bank printed zero Ghana cedis for the then government. So if you have had,
we don't have
in
proof
Essex,
that there was no
listen, to whom much is given, much is expected. If the government has had 18 billion cedis more than the 12 billion they needed to solve or to contain COVID, they cannot continue to make COVID an excuse for their own failings. As I told you, and the World Bank country director to Ghana has said so, Mr. Laporte. He said Ghana's economy faced signs of serious challenges even before COVID. Because before COVID,
he has also underscored
debt to GDP under John Mahama had increased. Debt to GDP had increased from 56% under John Mahama to 64% under Akuffo. He had already crossed the sustainable limits. Fiscal deficit had crossed the 5% threshold this government itself has set up in the Fiscal Responsibility Act. Okay, so it had hit 7% in 2018 and 7.5% in 2019. So
things have gone haywire.
They were already being reckless. Why? Are you more MPP than Kweku Kwati? Are you more MPP than Kweku Kwati?
I am not MPP.
Yes. You are a journalist doing your work. You are not even MPP at all, to be fair to you. But Sanda, who is the ranking member, in fact, no, the chairman of the Finance Committee in Parliament for the MPP, former Deputy Minister for Finance.
Yes.
He says that this government is not in this mess only because of COVID, but because of reckless spending. Have you seen it?
Yes, he has said.
Only today there is breaking news, right? The IMF says that Ghana is in this mess not only because of COVID, but reckless spending.
Who in the IMF said that?
Oh yes, I'll give it to you. It was published today. Excessive spending in 2020, partly to blame for economic woes. IMF boss Kristalina Georgieva.
Where is that?
Published today, Ghana Web. You can see it.
No problem.
I'm sure City has even published.
Okay, I mean, maybe having
you can check it.
Yes, I'll do that. Let's move on. So, what will Professor Nana Jane Opoku Ď do differently? What will she bring to your ticket? There are people who think she's part of the reasons you lost in 2020. You are sure
there is
that
no basis
she's
for that claim.
Yeah.
Professor Nana Jane Opoku Ď is a woman of substance, a woman of integrity, and a woman of valor. An accomplished woman by all standards, who has an understanding of issues that affect women and the issues that are plaguing our education sector today. And that is why she's the best person to complement the nation builder, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to govern this country from 2025 to 2029, 7th January, inshallah. And we are excited by this choice. The people of this country are excited by her choice as running mate because she has what it takes to support His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to achieve his vision for this country. This woman, check her profile. We are talking about a woman who was the first and is the first female vice chancellor of a major public university in this country. Even before that, she had risen to the rank of head of English department at the University of Cape Coast, the dean of the Faculty of Arts, the dean of the Board of Graduate Studies, and so on. She held many positions at the University of Cape Coast and excelled, and it was for that reason that she was promoted to the apex, position of Vice Chancellor. First woman in Ghana to attain that height. If you check her record, even in education in Africa, you know that she's the immediate past president of the Forum for African Women Educationalists. Currently, she's the chancellor of the Women's University in Africa. She's been Ghana's representative on the board of UNESCO for 2 terms. Go and check her record. So we are not talking about any woman. We are talking about an accomplished woman, and her credentials are there to show for. Aside that, I spoke to you about her proven track record.
Yes, right.
You know, she's been education minister. I can tell you, we've never had an education minister like that woman. Whether it is basic education, secondary education, tertiary education, her achievements towers far above all education ministers we've had. Do you know?
It was at her time as education minister that there was chalk for blackboards.
That is propaganda created
propaganda.
by MPP.
No.
I will tell you.
When she was education minister,
let me tell you what happened.
There was a shortage of chalk.
Sure.
Matilda Emisartha.
Okay. In one school.
It was a public issue in schools, and she, the second lady at the time, had to engage in this public.
That is not true.
Let me tell you what is true. A school, headmistress.
You listen to Oman FM.
I don't listen to Oman FM.
Let me tell you what is true.
I am a journalist and I reported at the time.
Let me tell you what is true. And it was under the tenure of Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman as education minister
that there was no chalk.
That the obnoxious shift system,
yes,
morning and afternoon school,
yes,
was abolished under her tenure.
And also chalk.
Hold on.
Was absent.
It was under the tenure of Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman.
Yes.
As education minister, that we introduced the unprecedented private remedials for BEC candidates.
It was under
Before her, students who failed BCE had no hope.
Yes.
Go and check a record. Under her, we recorded our best ever BEC performance.
Okay. But under her,
listen to me. You don't hold on to one thing.
No, I'm just giving one more point.
Without admitting that what we're saying is even true.
No problem.
You don't measure the tenure of an appointee, Minister of State, just by one incident.
Under her,
so let me give you the full gamut of her achievements.
You scrapped like a teacher training allowance, which you are planning to bring back.
That is another MPP
that was a fatal error.
Allowances were not scrapped.
You said you were going to give them loans instead of allowances.
So that was not scrapped. That is replaced.
No.
You understand English than I do. So let's not argue.
Away. You've scrapped and
what she did was to replace the allowances,
which has become very infamous, very, very unpopular.
But today we've been vindicated.
And you are planning to bring it back.
That. No.
You're not going
bring
to
what back? We stand by our position.
Yeah.
Because don't forget that it was under Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman that we upgraded colleges of education into fully fledged universities.
Even though some of them were not ready logistically.
And began to award degrees to them. And as a result of that, we told the students that apply for the loans just like your counterparts in the polytechnics and the universities apply for the student loan. That is what we all use to support our education when we're in school. So it was a replacement of the allowances with the student loan. Apart from that, she introduced the student loan plus, which allows students who gain admission but had challenges in paying their time-bound registration fees to apply for the loan even before they went to school. Student loan plus was a novelty introduced by Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman. Under her, the beneficiaries of student loan increased from 13,000 to 24,000. The student loan amount itself increased from 650 Ghana cedis to 1,000 Ghana cedis to 2,000 Ghana cedis. That is the woman we are talking about. The woman who converted polytechnics into technical universities. The woman under whose tenure teacher absenteeism in basic schools reduced from 27% to 7%. Under her tenure, we topped WASI. We won. Ghana won the WASI Nations Award for 4 consecutive years. Under her tenure, we saw 124 community day senior high schools commence, 47 of which were completed, resourced, and operationalized.
Let's make progress.
So her record is just unbeatable.
So you have put it on the ticket. You put it on the ticket. Let's look at the politics of it. I have seen critics who say your World Bank is voter region. They were expecting that you reward voter region with a running mate. First of all, you have taken away the leadership that the voter region had in parliament, and now you have also giving them no running mate.
Which one you've taken the leadership that the voter region had in parliament?
I'm talking about Aveji.
But who is the majority whip today?
Yeah, but he's not a deputy majority leader. So that's the point that has been made.
Son, I can tell you.
No, let me just land with the question.
Whoever told you this?
No, let me land with the question. So that you should have satisfied your base voter region by giving them a running mate. What do you say to that? Instead of
what I have to say to that is simple. That when the NEC, the National Executive Committee of the party, was consulted by His Excellency the President, President Mahama, the former president and our flag bearer, on her nomination of Professor Jane Nana Opoku Agyeman, there was total unanimity at NEC and also at the Council of Elders. Total unanimity. And some of the people who rose to openly support her nomination, were our executives from the voter region. So whoever is expressing these concerns to you behind the scenes is totally, it's not an issue. He's not in touch with the realities in our party.
Very well.
We have absolute confidence in Professor Jane Nana Opoku Agyeman. President Mahama has said that when elected and sworn in, she will have the responsibility of supervising the education sector, issues of women empowerment, and so on.
Very well.
Because the woman is competent. And it is my hope that Ghanaian women this time around will vote for the NDC. Because look, this is the first time a major political party in this country has chosen a woman as running mate, in line with what the Almighty God institutionalized in the Garden of Eden when He first created man. Because God said that it was not good for the man to be alone, and that you will make the man a helpmeet. Anything you are doing, if a woman is not part, it will not succeed. The NDC and John Mahama recognize the invaluable contribution of Ghanaian women to nation building. And that is why we are giving their place at the top. We are saying that they deserve to be running mates, vice president, and even president. We are the only political tradition that has shown this clear commitment. And it is my humble appeal to the women of this country that come 7 December 2024, they will honor President Mahama by voting for us and by ensuring that Ghana, for the first time, will have its first female vice president who will come and champion the welfare and development of women.
Just a point of information. So the IMF story you quoted, I have just been informed that the interview was granted to Bernard Avle on the point of view of
from City. So I was right.
Yes, so you are right.
I was right.
Yes,
when I told you that COVID is not to blame by their reckless spending.
No, you're right on this instance. Let's proceed.
I'm right on all the
next
things
issue. Accra is hosting the Africa Games. You issued a statement yesterday, and you were demanding that the Minister for Sports be fired. Why? Because of his gross incompetence, recklessness, and ineptitude, which has brought the name of Ghana into disrepute, which has brought monumental embarrassment and shame on all of us as a country. I'm sure yesterday you saw in the news that South Africa has withdrawn their men's and women's teams from the hockey competition because they say that our hockey pitch is not fit for purpose. Even before that, you saw our own cycling champion Michael Naba withdraw from the cycling race because his personal bicycle, which he was using for the race, broke down a few minutes after the race started. You've seen our swimming team withdraw from the 100 by 400 race because they didn't get the basic equipment they needed to prepare.
We've seen our athletes being transported to the games at the buckets, in the bucket of rickety pickups and so on. What crime have we committed? What have we done wrong to President Akuffo Addo and Alhaji Bawumia that they cannot even discharge this simple task of organizing all African games when they've had access to $243 million, which is an outrageous, humongous, amount that they should not have even spent in the first place on this tournament. 21-day tournament. They claim to have spent a staggering $195 million on 3 stadia alone. That so-called Boteman complex, they claim cost them 145.
It's not so-called. It's beautiful. I've gone there. It's very nice.
Is it Wembley?
No, it's not Wembley. But
is it Old Trafford?
Oh no, but it's nice.
And you think so? It's nice. So it costs. So if I give you a nice car and I tell you the cost of the car is $1 million,
I'm just saying. I'm saying
it's nice.
No, I'm saying don't say so-called. It's beautiful. It's
clearly
nice.
This is a highly inflated, highly padded project.
You should go.
There is no way that it can cost $145 million, even if the grass they use for the pitch was imported from heaven. There is no way. There is no way that structure they have at the entrance of University of Ghana can cost $34 million. And there is no way that so-called game village they have created, which is just a renovation and rehabilitation of hostels, should cost us $14 million. There is no way that a country like Ghana, a bankrupt country like Ghana, currently moving around the world with a cap in hand, knees on the ground, begging for debt relief, a country like Ghana, which can't even pay its creditors. A bankrupt country like Ghana, we can't pay national service personnel the allowances, we can't pay NAPCO personnel the allowances, we are not paying school feeding caterers, we can't feed our secondary school children, and so on. You go to our major hospitals, you see people sleeping on bare floors because there are no beds. You go to arena units, you don't have adequate dialysis machines there to take care of the aged and the sick.
So it's a misplaced priority.
And listen. And then you decide, aside wasting $195 million on substandard facilities, you decide to budget $48 million, equivalent to 600 million cedis, which is equivalent to 6 trillion. Yes, 6 trillion old Ghana cedis on operational expenses for 21 days. Tell me whether this makes sense.
This is Face to Face on City TV. It makes sense that we take a break now. When we come
Abusia, we need and some a course our highway. So, some medium fee, Abba drop, Penina, Ama, Yin Nayamu, dear Elko, as some IMF Boss at the Etujam, some medium fee, Ama, Yamunina. Yabadi Abida for us, say, on my Japan, Cocuti, Sa Audio at the MIA, aha, POG Media, Madam.